What'd you send a guest request to disagree on?
Hey, Will, how are you?
Doing well. What'd you send a guest request to disagree on?
Um, Ending the funding, I think that's the title. I guess we disagree on a lot of things, but you can choose. What do you want to
Yeah,
talk
so do you
about?
believe that America should continue funding Israel?
Basically, I'm an Israeli, so I think my natural response will be yes.
Okay, why?
Um, yeah, my natural response, I think it's obvious, but which countries do the US fund, do you know?
We fund a huge series of countries through a series of different ways.
And do you know like the rank, like who you fund the most?
It depends how you count it. So if you count free trade agreements, right, and long-term funding, I believe probably the UK has been the largest beneficiary of a trade agreement with America and a direct military integration with America. Australia gets millions and millions of dollars worth of intelligence from America through being part of the G5, right? So does Canada. We give a preferential trade agreement to Canada by comparison to Mexico. That's billions of dollars a year. Mexico also gets a preferential trade agreement by comparison to Western Europe. That's billions of dollars a year. So once again, it depends how you count it.
And do you think they should stop doing so?
Depends which country you're talking about.
So what are the parameters to decide which country should be funded and which not? If it benefits the
Well,
US, or is the country
I think we
evil?
generally shouldn't fund genocides.
Okay. And what about the Arab countries, dictatorships, or generally, we
Which
should fund
country
them?
specifically?
I don't know, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know.
we
I
should.
guess we
I
know
think
the
we should
list.
end. I think we should have ended our diplomatic relations with Saudi Arabia following 9/11.
So, and do you know what would be the consequences of that?
Yeah, horrendous consequences. At the very least, we should have leveraged our diplomatic powers over Saudi Arabia because we have effectively a unilateral military control over them at that time, right? To pressure them to prosecute those that were actively involved in it. The difficulty is that it's pretty likely that the Saudi government had some hand at certain points. So
Yeah, but aren't you like oversimplifying it and like,
I'm not. You're asking overly simplified questions, so I'm answering in the most nuanced possible, relevant way.
yeah, my question is, there is a possibility that if the US stop doing what the US is doing, then things will go way worse for you, for the US specifically. And then the question
Possible,
is like,
but I don't
what?
think that our self-interests justify genocide.
So basically, you're just like, you don't mind if your country will fall for justice. I think that's
I
the
don't think
change.
ending the support of Israel will cause the end of America.
Yeah, but I think you need to look at the bigger picture. It's like ending funding for anyone who is not like uh, goes through exactly our current standards,
But then
which are
it's
things
not
that
really my
change.
claim, actually. So I want to end funding so as to have a law-abiding, non-criminal nation in that area.
Yeah,
I'm
but
happy for American funding to go towards a non-criminal nation in that area, right? It just doesn't look like Israel. So
yeah,
I
but
actually think it's the best thing America could conceivably do, even its own self-interest, to promote, I don't know, justice and legality in its proxy territories.
yeah, but
Because
that
then we stop. Russia has one less rhetorical point to use this against us because we aren't committing genocide. China doesn't have another rhetorical point to use when they're talking to their people about how horrendous America is. If we continue to do horrendous things, popular support against us dwindles.
if you think that China, Russia will make any difference depending on your behavior, I think you don't understand how they these countries will act. You know, there are global powers, and the one who is not the global power wishes to be one, and it's always like one day it might change, but it's like an active state of war. You always have an active state of war between countries because humans are like that, unfortunately. So it's a bit naive to think that if you just behave, then your enemies, like Russia, that just invade countries randomly for self-interest, will say, "Ah, okay, they are not funding the Israel, so we don't have any claim to hate America." No, that's not
That
the
wasn't my claim in any way, shape, or form. Now you're oversimplifying to the point of lying, which makes it worse.
lying. I'm not lying.
I never said that they would stop saying bad things about us. I said they would have one less bad thing to actually say about us.
Yeah, I didn't say they would. So I'm saying it won't have any effect. That's what my claim was, that even if you stop completely, it won't change anything.
Okay, but you said that I said that they would, right,
So
say, "Oh,
regard.
America's all fine." That's not what I said. That's what I said was a lie because it was something that wasn't true. Um,
No, it wasn't a
but
lie.
the
I was
point
giving you a point,
is
but
generally people said this exact same thing about Africa when decolonization of Africa happened. Just to be really clear, right? When the French were pulling out of Algeria, people argued that the Russians would just come in and take Algeria. And actually, they kind of did, but then the Algerians gained autonomy, a lot more autonomy. We could go through a huge amount of examples, right? Actually, the Algerian freedom fighters were in part funded by Russia. So were the Afghanistan freedom fighters, but yet they still now have more autonomy as a self-ruling peoples in Algeria than they did prior under French occupation. Okay, so the thing about this is proxy wars have scales, and we can start bringing the best thing to do is to have the autonomous people fight against all imperialist powers over them. And that starts with not actively harming and economically disenfranchising one of the groups of autonomous peoples. Those would be the Palestinian peoples. So if you're genuinely
you know,
anti-imperialism, work
but
to ending it. The end of
no,
imperialism
but
looks like autonomous
just
for
let me stop you. Just I think one thing that you're getting wrong is they're not funding Israel against the Palestinian people. They're funding Israel and against other powers in the area. The Palestinian people, like the funding actually might in some way help Israel not do whatever the current leadership wants to do because they depended on America, which has higher standard in some of the governments. So I don't think it's a correct way to look at it.
I mean, a shit ton of those bombs are American made. So it's
Yeah, but
difficult to say
that's not
that we're
what I
not
said.
helping them do what they do.
No,
It
that's
would be
not what
pretty
I
hard
said.
for them to source bombs without America and its allies.
No, Israel could. What I'm saying is that you said America is funding Israel against the Palestinians, and that is not correct because
How many
if
Russians have died in this conflict?
Russians,
Yeah.
Israeli Russians,
No, how many Russians have died in this conflict?
the a lot like tens,
Who?
just there are many Israeli Russian civilians.
Okay, how many Iranians have died in this conflict?
Um, Not much, but you know that
Okay, how many Palestinians have died in this conflict?
who is funding Hamas and Hezbollah and Syria, and who is attacking the other ones? Like this is Iranian money,
I
so
don't disagree that
so
it is a Cold War with Iran,
yeah. But what you
but the
said is that
Palestinians and the Israelis are in the middle of it. So
yeah,
it is a
but
fight of Israel against Palestinians.
yeah, but your claim was that if the US stop funding Israel, then it will be a fair fight, and that's
No, I didn't.
incorrect.
No, it wasn't.
You said they're only helping Israel against the Palestinians, but actually, probably the Iranians are doing more harm to the Palestinians than the
Well,
US in that point.
I don't doubt that. I think we should end Iranian and Russian imperialism into the Palestinian area. I agree, actually.
But nobody talks about it.
Well, I believe that America, right, ending their acceptance of the despicable actions of Israel is the start to that. Because
Or maybe
currently
it's the
there is
end.
no way for Israel to govern as a state entity the Palestinian people. It just cannot happen. The fundamental foundation of the state of Israel is opposed to the Palestinian people having any occupancy within it.
This is not
And so
correct.
that state entity cannot account for all of the indigenous people in that area. And the only way to get all imperialism out of the area is to empower the indigenous people and arm the indigenous people.
Yeah,
And as
but
long as we have a state that is fundamentally opposed to the indigenous people existing, no matter if they're aligned with one imperialist power or the other, that cannot happen. So we need a fundamental change to what power is within that area so that we can empower the indigenous people.
Yeah, I think your goals are good, but your analysis is incorrect about what will happen. And I think you're missing just a few details about it, and that's why it won't work. Like your plan is, I think you're a good person. Like your plan is like only for a good cause, but I think if the funding stops, let's say somebody listens to you tomorrow, I think the terrible things would happen. Like horrible things would happen, not only for
Well, you don't
Israel.
ask me what I would want to do after the funding stops.
Okay, so
We say, hey, look, your entire economy crashed and your military's crippled. That's crazy. What if you stopped committing a genocide? And then maybe we'll give some of the funding back.
yeah, but maybe
Maybe
once
we'll
the
do
funding
that. That's what
stops,
I'm suggesting. I'm not an idiot. I don't think we should just stop sending any money anywhere, right? What I'm saying is that America has influence over its proxies, okay?
it
And
won't
we
work.
should use that influence. You
I
don't
think,
think that if we crash the whole entire Israeli economy, they'll stop?
no, because I think you're getting two things wrong. Okay, let me point them out, and then I'll listen to your reply. First of all, by funding Israel, America has leverage on Israel. By when they don't fund Israel, they can't tell them what to do. When they
I
stop,
entirely disagree, actually.
okay, if they stop funding them, what will happen immediately is a regional war, and Hezbollah and Iran and Syria will just attack, and that will. So your plan won't work to stop the genocide. This war will cost much more lives of all of the area, including the Palestinians. And as you see,
I
each
actually,
conflict
so
just makes it worse for the Palestinians. So I think personally, there are only two options in this. Either both sides keep fighting and trying to conquer the whole land forever, and right now, Israel is the strongest, so it's not a very good idea. Although I think most Palestinians do support this option right now. And the second one is two-state solution.
I mean, the
Uh,
current Israeli government has said that a two-state solution is out of the question.
yeah,
You're going to
but
have
do
to
you know?
fight with the
Are you
Israelis.
aware that Israel is a democratic country, and the current government is not forever, just a
No, I'm
phase, a
aware.
long phase,
But
relatively.
unfortunately, the
It is a
two-state solutions
democratic.
that they've offered have been in violation of international law. But let's just try.
No, that's not correct.
That is true, actually.
The two-state solution is not a violation of international law, because if
The two-state
both
solutions that
sides,
Israel have offered have been in violations of international law.
no, it's just if the state solution means that both parties decide that they want to do it together, and it's agreed on both of them, and it's just
No, I'm just
peace. So
referencing the two-state
it's not
solutions that
illegal.
Israel has offered in the past.
Which one? There were plenty.
Well, so the Oslo Accords, a form of two-state solution, violation of international law. What came out of the Camp David Accords, the ones that Israel denied, were the ones in violation in following international law, and the ones that Israel offered in the past under the Camp David Accords were in violation of international law.
What does it mean
To be in violation of international law,
in the terms of a peace agreement?
well, so if you make an offer that maintains an occupation and want that occupation to be maintained, you're violating international law.
And if it's a
And their
phase,
offers maintained occupations.
yeah, but it's a phase. Are you aware of that? Like the first phase
Not
is
under
to
the
give
Israeli
their
offer.
own weapons. Yeah, it's you need to understand what's going on in Israel. Okay, it's a circle of violence. Okay, each side sees the violence that was done to him, and it's just a bunch of kids who grew up, Palestinians grew up, their relatives being unalived and stuff, and Israelis grew up to terror attacks that bombs. I as a kid, just was afraid of going on buses and restaurants because they would blow up randomly. So it's the scale is different, of course. Everybody always give up the numbers, but the numbers is just a reflection of
I'm just
the
talking
power,
very
not of the
strictly about
intention.
international law. So
What is international law? Like you want there's like a possible the Oslo Accords were a possible peace agreements. They took both
yeah,
sides to
and
be
they
less
maintained
extreme.
a situation that was in violation of international law. And
Yeah,
also,
but
Israel hasn't followed the
no,
Oslo Accords.
no, no. So what? So let me get to that. But
I no, sorry, no. So
when
you're going to claim? One second. I just want to be very clear. I'm aware the Oslo Accords were an interim agreement. Okay? But the goal expressed at the end, even if it had been reached, would have maintained an occupation of a portion of the Palestinian land that is in violation of international law. Okay? So the land that Israel still would have retained following successful completion of the Oslo Accords would still be an illegal occupation of Palestinian lands. It
When
would
I'm
just be
talking about the
slightly
second
less.
phase, yeah, when I'm talking about the second phase, I'm not talking about the second phase of the Oslo Code. I'm talking about the two countries, people trying to live together. And when you do that, even if you say, oh, let's not do it because of a few land, international law, blah 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 blah, what you're doing is just give more power to the radicals to keep doing the other thing, the war. There are only two options: war
I'm
or
not.
peace.
So I'm. Are you saying that me saying that something's illegal is giving more power to terrorists? Is that your claim?
I don't understand what it means illegal. Like if the Palestinians
You don't
accept
understand
that,
what international law is.
no, there's no such thing.
So Israel didn't sign on to the UN, accords that recognized both the existence, validity, and jurisdiction of international law and the ICJ. They didn't sign those
Let me ask
treaties?
you. Let me ask you.
No,
Does
no,
Israel
answer my
follow?
question first. Did Israel sign those treaties?
You can answer, and I believe you.
Okay, so if they did, do you believe Israel that international law exists?
Yeah. So my question is, and try to understand what I'm saying. Is Israel following international law?
No.
Okay. Is Russia following international law?
No.
Is the US following international law?
Is there a single person on this planet that has never broken a law?
Yeah, but so the US,
Point me
but
to,
you know,
please introduce them to me.
so why do you use it as like a claim? Like
Wait, but please
if to
introduce
what?
me to the person that has never broken a law.
No, that's just
Introduce
deflecting.
me to a person who has always rode their bike with a helmet in the UK.
Okay, so let's make so
Introduce
why is
me
the
to a
Oslo
person even
codes?
that has never shoplifted.
Okay, great. So you
Introduce me
proven
to a
my point.
person that has never pirated. Laws matter.
Yeah, amazing. So you prove my
Just
point.
because a lot of people break laws doesn't mean that laws don't matter.
You just prove my point that saying international law is the reason the Oslo Accords is bad
I never said the
is not a
Oslo
good
Accords were
reason.
bad.
You said when I said the Oslo Accords were a chance, you said but they broke international law. So yes.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
said they broke international law, which is correct. I said a true statement.
Yeah, but the context was that you said they are not good because of that. And I think
Did I say that?
yeah, I was trying to claim that
But did I say
uh
that?
yeah,
I did say that the Oslo Accords are bad.
like I claim they are good, and then you said, wait, no, they are breaking international law. So that's what I
I said,
understand
yes,
from that.
but
Yeah,
they are breaking international law. I never
yeah,
said that.
like yeah, you
You
said they're
assumed
not.
that.
No,
You ever heard what
it's
assumptions
no,
do you ever heard what assumptions do?
yeah, But anyway, I think my point was you got my point, okay? And I also forgot what we were talking about because we got to that sub discussion of the Oslo Accords. Anyway, all I'm saying, if you stop funding, it would be worse. And I think what you think your plan is, it probably won't work. I don't have a plan. Okay, I know it's
Okay,
very
then don't
complex.
speak. If you don't have a plan, leave.
I have opinions and but I
If you
don't
have
think either
opinions with
you.
no solutions, no one cares.
I have solutions which are less immediate. So like stopping the funding. I think you want to hear my what I think can solve this situation.
Sure. What can America do to stop this situation? Because I'm an American.
So anyone can do, but the basic thing that as an Israeli who lives here, the basic thing that needs to be solved is hate. Okay, and no other thing you'll do. You can stop funding, you can give funding, you can whatever you do. Just you have people that sincerely hate each other, and in a way that they each sides look at the other side as inhumane at some point. And this is, it's not people, I go into a lot of lives and everybody says, the Israelis, they're a psychopath, they have 50 IQ, oh, they're evil. No, people don't understand that any human in that situation will probably act
So
the same.
your answer is just everyone chill out.
No,
Is
people
that your
don't
answer?
chill out.
Everyone just like hate each other less. Like, why didn't we think about that before?
Yeah,
Hey guys,
eventually.
why
So,
don't I go to the UN and just ask everyone to stop hating each other? Let's have a vibe. Let's have a vibe sesh actually.
yeah,
Let's get the Pakistanis and Indians on this ish. You know, let's get
yeah,
everyone on it.
if
Let's
it
get
was
everyone
that
on it.
simple.
Let's get America and Mexico on it. Let's get the French and the British on it. They can all chill out. Like, bro, what? I
Okay.
agree, but like,
How can you do it? Ask me instead of mocking me.
but it's just not a plan in the context of this discussion. I offered an actual policy that one could interact right now that will physically save lives. Because you know what doesn't kill? Me hating you. You know what does? American rockets.
Yeah, but
It's difficult for
just
me to unalive you if you have a rocket. And it's
first of
really
all,
easy for me to unalive you if I have a rocket.
First of all,
So,
after you mock me, though, let me just maybe suggest some course of actions that people could do. Okay, so basically, I think when you take two people, take an Israeli and a Palestinian, and put them in a room, they won't be as extreme as they are in Twitter, in Facebook. It's not the same. Same goes for internal struggles like left wing, right wing, and you can see that a lot of the blame recently is also on things like social media and just people detaching, going to their own bubbles. So I think what you could do, which will actually change things, it won't solve it, but it will change something, is if you host a few lives that try to bring the two people from both sides to understand each other. So if you take a Palestinian and you gain him the empathy back to Israelis, civilians, and you take an Israeli and you manage to make him gain empathy back to the Palestinian people, and you made something. And also, if people see it on the live, it will make something. So basically, what you
okay,
have
let me
is
stop you right there. If you put me in a room with someone that advocated the starvation of my people, if you put me in a room with someone that called my people dogs or said that bombing the Gaza Strip, my home for 9 generations, for example, with a nuke was acceptable, I don't think peace would come out of that room. I don't think empathy would come out of that room.
yeah, but you also buy the propaganda because like
I mean,
do
no,
you
it's
have
not.
the exact
It's what the IDF has said.
no do you have the
It's what
exact
Israel
quote?
has said.
Bring the
Literally
exact
those
quote.
exact words.
Yeah, I know because it was our minister and our left wing were citing him that he said we should nuke them, and then everybody
But the
started
thing
citing
is
that.
those people don't deserve, like, if you say that nuking the Gaza Strip is acceptable, you don't deserve empathy.
Yeah, but he didn't say that. So I'm
He
left
said
with
nuking, he said nukes were on the table.
no. I could like. Are you talking about the minister that said it?
I'm talking about the UN ambassador that said that in the UN, yeah. And then later got deposed. Yeah.
It was an ambassador, but basically, so I saw this quote and I was like, oh my god, this minister, like this government is stupid for saying that. But then I took the full quote, and the full quote was a reporter that asked him, blah 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 blah, and so we should just nuke the Gazans, and then the minister says that's one way, but another way would be blah blah
Still
blah blah blah.
unacceptable.
No, but when you hear it, you understand that it was like deflecting that. Yeah, okay, you can nuke them, but what you should do is B. So that's just propaganda, and it's funny because it came from the Israeli against the Israelis, but you also
Still
fell for it.
unacceptable.
No, it's not. You just take what you did by saying that is taking something a person that did not mean he wants
And
to
you
nuke.
put it in context and it's still unacceptable.
But no, it's not because you'd make the Palestinian thinks that this minister wants to nuke them and he doesn't, because if you hear the exact quote, it doesn't believe that's something you should do. So, and it happens
But
on like,
suggesting it's an option in any way, shape, or form is still unacceptable.
no, I didn't suggest it.
Okay, well, we disagree about the verbiage that you just said. I mean, if you don't hear the words you're saying, that's fine. But it sounds like you're on the way out. I'll try and make room for other people. Slay the day. Bye. Okay.